Hello, I'm Brendan Mitchell. Welcome to the CAPS Conversation series. On today's episode, I have with me George Lindley. George is a learning consultant at Pearson Education, one of the world's largest and most progressive education and learning organisations in the world today. Welcome, George.
Thank you very much, Brendan. Absolute pleasure to be here.
Now, what were your plans after completing high school?
Well, I think it's very difficult when you're 18 years old to actually know what you want to do. I think you've got the idea of pigeonholing yourself, that if you study medicine, you become a doctor. If you study law, you become a lawyer. I don't think a lot of people at 18 actually really know what they want to do. But there are some things that you can say are useful to anyone at any age. Languages. No one will ever say to you, don't learn a language. Languages aren't useful.
And is that what drew you to study modern languages at Aston University?
Exactly. As well as learning a language, humanities will teach you thinking skills, transferable skills.
And whereabouts is Aston University in the UK?
In Birmingham.
In Birmingham.
You've heard of Aston Villa?
Oh, for sure.
Football team?
Yeah, I understand some of the royal family supports that team. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
Is that true?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Did you grow up in Birmingham and go to?
No. I think part of the culture in England is that when you get to 18, you want to go as far away as possible from your family, go to a big city, enjoy your independence, and obviously there's some good universities there.
Oh, for sure. It has a reputation of it as an education hub. So what inspired you to become an educator during your studies and I suppose after graduation?
I think with education, it's all about transferring what you know and continually to learn yourself. I wouldn't say immediately I thought I want to be an educator, I want to be a teacher. I knew I wanted to travel the world, and education will allow you to do that.
Oh, for sure. I can support that. Why Chile?
Why Chile? Chile is a beautiful country, but the main reason was to learn Spanish. So I'd learned French at university. I spent a year in France as part of that course. What's better than one language, two languages? So went to South America for a couple of years. I thought about becoming an interpreter or translator, but since looking into that career, I have a lot of respect for the interpreters. Simultaneous interpreting is an incredible skill. I think you're born with it or you're not born with it.
Yeah, difficult. Now, which city in Chile were you based in predominantly?
Santiago, but I spent a long time up north in a copper mine in the Atacama Desert.
What were you doing in the copper mine?
Mining for copper. Teaching.
Or
yes.
Were you mining as well?
No, so we gave the engineers a basic English grammar course because it was operated by a company called BHP Billiton, Australian company.
Big Australian, as it's known.
Yeah, they get everywhere.
Yes.
A lot of Chilean miners, very highly qualified, but they're just changing all of their systems to be English. And so they had to write daily reports.
Okay.
And if they wanted to progress in their career, they had to know English, which you find a lot in the world.
Well, for sure, as it's becoming more globalised. Now, what food, lifestyle, accommodation in Chile, both up at the copper mine, but more specifically in Santiago?
Well, the mine was very much like an army camp, barracks, basic accommodation, good food. But Chile's a really nice place to live. I think there's some places in the world which are great to visit, and there's some places that are great to live. You're not going to earn, massive bucks living in Chile, working in Chile, but you can really enjoy the lifestyle. Beautiful country, take breaks to the mountains, the forests, to the lakes.
Nice. What about the visa situation? Was it reasonably easy to get a work visa or long-term visa there?
It's quite relaxed in South America. You can turn up on a visit visa, find a job, and then they can process you the work visa.
That's handy. That's different to anywhere
Very
else I've been.
From where we are right now.
No, but also a lot of places in Asia, it's not possible. You have to leave the country to come in a different style of visa there. Now, did you have the opportunity to travel through around South America?
Right, yeah, that was part of it. It was a real adventure. I mean, you can take a lot of holidays. Went down south quite a lot to Patagonia, had 3 weeks hitchhiking down south. Amazing experience.
This is still in Chile?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Chile.
What about outside of Chile?
I took a few flights, Peru, Brazil,
Yeah.
Bolivia. If you want a real South American experience, what you traditionally would think what South America would be like, Bolivia's, Peru, amazing countries.
Level of safety in South America? I know we're going back to 2010, 2014 and things have changed since then. But when you were there, did you find it quite safe? Obviously hitchhiking.
I'm still here, Brendan. But no, I think South America is one of those places where you encourage college students to go on gap years. It still has the adventure, but with a seatbelt on. There's not a lot of problems, not in the south of South America anyway.
Okay, lovely. I know other people who have been to Chile, lived and worked there, and they've spoken very highly of it. I know that this is going back a few more years than that. What about job opportunities for teachers, whether it be English teachers, subject specialist, international school teachers?
I think it's different. I think we should always maybe separate English teachers from international college teachers, teachers with PGCEs.
Yep.
I think with English teaching, you can get a job anywhere very easily. Turn up in a country, knock on a door, say hello, my name's George. If you have a CELTA university degree, you're able to find work quite easily.
Is that pretty much what you did? Just to
Exactly what
nice.
I did. But at the same time, you're not going to make we'll say it's difficult to make a career at these English language institutes out of teaching English, or to save a lot of money without a pension, without healthcare. It's something that will allow you to travel, get experience, build soft skills, transferable skills. I wouldn't know about what it's like to work at the international schools. I imagine it's quite different and more of a long-term career.
Yeah, I'd agree with everything you just said there, particularly, and globally, it's global application, what you've said there.
Okay.
Now, after Chile, you went to Italy.
Right.
How did you decide on Italy and why?
Almost. I went to Spain first for about 6 months.
Yep.
And then to Italy. Actually, met a friend while I was in Spain who was working for a drama company, so it's teaching English through drama. It's called TPR, Total Physical Response.
Yes.
And it was a lot of summer camps in a lot of different cities in Italy, going up, teaching English through songs, through games. Very different experience. Got to travel the country. Loved it. But again, it's not something that you can really progress in, other than gaining experience from living in different cultures.
For sure. But the country you're in now, the great Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, does provide career progression.
That's
and is that why you decided on Saudi Arabia?
It's very true. In England, about 50% of young people now have degrees.
Yeah.
I sometimes say to people, the opportunities aren't necessarily in your neighbourhood, aren't necessarily in your region, even in your country. Go where the opportunities are. I think we're very fortunate to be able to travel, live anywhere. We have quite a powerful passport, so you can go to these countries where the jobs are, where the opportunities are, places which are developing quickly, like Saudi Arabia, which is getting a lot of foreign investment in, a lot of government investment in the education system. And as involved in education, it's clearly a destination where I knew I could actually move on to do things that I think will actually have more impact.
Yes, yeah, I'd definitely say that the government supports development here, and it supports development of its citizens.
So, through education.
And that leads me on to the next point. I think there's some misconceptions about the great Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, particularly in the international media. How's your life in Riyadh? That'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? Comfortable, safe.
I've been here like 3 years now, so I had those perceptions when I came here. I thought, there's going to be a lot of opportunities out here, but it's going to be difficult. I think people think Saudi Arabia is dangerous. And that couldn't be further from the truth.
It's the safest place I've ever been to.
Safest place I've ever been to. I tell people that any neighbourhood, any time of day, no problem whatsoever. I couldn't say that about England.
Well, I quite like England.
England's
a beautiful
nice.
place to visit as a tourist.
But I'm saying at
unreal.
3 a.m, watch where you step in some of these neighbourhoods.
Yeah, here we're not going to be out at 3 a.m. Now, you must get to see in your current role a fair amount of the kingdom. What are some of the highlights, some of the places, they're really interesting places that you've been to in Saudi?
I think one of the most beautiful thing about Saudi Arabia is that the tourists aren't actually here yet.
Yeah.
So you actually experience these places, but with the authentic, the real kind of experience. One obvious highlight is Medina Saleh. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It's the equivalent of Petra in Jordan, but without 1,000 people with their selfie sticks. You go in there and you see these huge tombs carved out of the sandstone. And again, you're the only person walking around this ancient kind of like city. It's quite incredible, really. And the backdrop and just being able to see as far as the eye can see of just pure desert. It's a bit surreal. I also had the opportunity to have a bit of a trip around Saudi Arabia, a bit of a road trip. We went right up to the north of the kingdom. There's some interesting spots up there on the Jordanian, Israeli, Egyptian border.
What time of the year was that?
We went in September, so it was still quite hot.
But no snow as yet. Something that people don't realise in Saudi Arabia, they get snow.
There's snow? I've never seen snow in Saudi Arabia.
Haven't you? Up in some of the northern and southern areas, they'll get the snow, Al Jawf, hail.
Okay.
Yeah.
We went through Al Jawf, went through Hail. We've got some old castles around there, and then again, nobody there. It's like maybe what Stonehenge probably was like maybe 50 years ago, when you can go right up to the rocks, walk around them, and really appreciate, the beauty of the place before, the whole development is taking place. And the development's coming, of course.
Oh, for sure. All those places there. One thing we haven't touched on is, what motivated you to do a master's degree? And I assume that's obviously helped you in your career progression and.
So having lived in these different countries, out of interest, keeping up to date with the news, you naturally read a lot about your country and the relations between the country that you're actually in and the country where you're from. It's quite interesting. It's really interesting to see what this country is saying about your country. And obviously newspapers, as we said about Saudi Arabia, it's like the shock and awe will come out, and people have this perception of your country, and it's not necessarily true. You see what's important for the different countries, and I found it fascinating. I thought it's something I can study. I knew after a year abroad or 2 years abroad, you realise that you'll probably spend the next 10 or 20 years abroad as what you've done yourself.
Yeah.
You get addicted to living abroad. The idea of living in a different country, everything's new. You step out in the street, everything's an experience. I like that.
But you also have to have the skill and to be able to transfer your knowledge and abilities to others to continue the journey abroad, and I would say that your master's degree has contributed to that. Yeah,
that's true. There's nothing better than having a certificate, a paper to prove that. It's also what you learn, I think, doing degrees, doing masters. It really makes you think things through, to consider things, read between the lines. What we're talking about in the kingdom at the moment, 21st century skills. Critical thinking, evaluating sources, all of these kind of skills. You can't say, with this skill I'm going to then have this job. It doesn't happen. A master's in international relations, in politics, you become a politician. It doesn't happen anymore.
No, it's transferable.
Now you go to a country, you have a job, and you live in that country for a couple of years, and then you move on to doing something else. And you can't say, I planned this progression anymore. Because now it's about, I believe, it's about going to a different country and finding new opportunities. And then maybe you can look back and say, my degree is useful because of this reason. It's useful that I learned modern languages because I'm involved in education through English. And my master's was useful because it allowed me to get this position in this company.
Now, do you go back home often? Speaking about jumping around countries, do you go back home and do you still have close connections with possibly friends from university, school, obviously family?
Well, one of the great things about working for a UK-based company is that we have conferences in the UK. There's international events in the UK, things like IATEFL, so the English International Conference.
And of course the World Education Forum and the BET Show, the best of British there for sure.
Exactly, you went to that, didn't you, Brendan? So, I mean, I love to go to events like this, and you can always tack on a couple of days because it's important to see your family, your friends. Yes, I do keep in contact with
lovely.
them. I mean, there's many benefits, and I've talked a long time about the benefits of living in a foreign country, but there is also drawbacks. There's always going to be drawbacks. And one of the things is that to have like a permanent base, to see your family every day, obviously you're going to miss out on that.
Yeah.
And it's important for everyone. So obviously I try to go back, see my mum, see my brother as much as possible.
For sure, lovely. All right, it's been great chatting with you, and I'm really impressed with what you do and how you contribute to education and the lives of the young people in particular, who are not only the future of their countries but also the world. All right, thanks, George.
Okay, Brendan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed that episode in the CAPS Conversation series.